What is up, you guys? It is Avery32 here, bringing you guys a brand new. I got the camera from DN on my face here, on my forehead, but I'm bringing you guys a deck profile for kind of post Thanksgiving, because I'm grateful for the almighty self-destruct button, and I wanted to bring you guys a self-destruct button deck profile of what it would look like if self-destruct button was still legal. Just kind of give you guys a bit of a backstory for those who are newer subscribers. This deck is pretty much what took me off on my channel. This is pretty much what led me into where I am today. Unfortunately, I don't grow nowhere near as much as I do as I did back then. Like I was kind of getting like 5 to 10 subs like every other week or so. Um, so it's just it's whatever. But we're getting there, you guys. We're getting there. We're gonna grow. I'm trying to upload more. I know I missed a couple days. It was just because of Thanksgiving, so I do apologize for that. But I do want to give you guys this tech profile, and I might have another video up later today, or I'll have one up on Monday, since Sunday is when I don't upload. So let's get into the deck profile here, and I'll explain everything after. So we have 3 Dogma, 3 Plasma, 3 Dreadmaster, and 1 Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. Obviously, you're not going to be summoning any of your monsters. For the spells, we have 1 Lure, 3 Toon Table, 3 D-Draw, 3 Trade-In, 1 One Day, 1 Duality, 2 Dark World Dealing. This is a change from before. 3 Upstart Goblin, 3 Into the Void, and 3 Chicken Race, which is another change, and 3 Inspection. For the traps, we have 1 Wall Revealing Light, and of course 3 Self-Destruct Button. So what were the changes that I made from before? You were originally running triple Duality and triple Dark World Dealings. This is before we had Chicken Game, so I ended up taking out double Duality because you're only going to end up getting 1 off, and it can kind of be more of a dead draw. So, and you're usually going to be able to win in 1 turn once you're able to draw through your deck and get your engine going. So there was no point to have multiple Dualities when you're trying to win that first turn. So, and plus now with Chicken Game, it allows you to have basically 6 copies of Upstart. We dropped it down to 2 dark. I dropped it down to 2. I don't know why people say we. I dropped it down to 2 Dark World Dealing because of the fact that sometimes you get in a situation where you draw, and of course you don't want to really have to ditch anything because then you're going to be between a rock and a hard place. So I ended up dropping it down to 2. It's still a good draw engine. I tried Hand Destruction. I don't really like it because you have to discard then draw 2. So I like Dark World Dealings more. Everything else was standard. The inspections you have to play, and then of course self-destruct button you have to play. So now that I've gone through the main deck, let me explain how you actually win with this deck, or how you used to win with this deck, and we'll go into the side deck from there, because really the extra deck isn't necessary. I would say only triple Chimera Tech in case your opponent decides to be dumb and leave a Cyber Dragon and a ship on board in case you're playing against Cosmo, because they don't think you're actually going to do anything. Then you can go Chimera Tech just to troll them, but that's neither here nor there. So for the spell lineup, so like I said, Chicken Game was a change. Better than Dealings, better than Duality, because you're actually going to be able to get it off. You don't mind your life points running low, just because of the fact that you want your life points to get low because of self-destruct button. So at the most you'll be paying 3,000, and then you'll pay another 5,000 with Wall Revealing Light if you don't use Inspection. One could say that this conflicts with Inspection, because if you pay 3,000 before you use Inspection when you're at 8,000, it won't take as much time off the clock. But it doesn't really matter, because either way, a turn or 2 may pass by before you're forced to play self-destruct button. Usually is what happens. I usually try to have game 1 go for a decent amount of time, then have game 2 go until the clock runs out, and then once the clock hits time, play self-destruct button, or like 30 seconds before time, you hit self-destruct button. So what does Inspection do? It's a very old card. During your opponent's standby phase, you can randomly select 1 card in your opponent's hand and look at it at the cost of 500 life points. That's very odd wording, just because it is that old of a card and it's never had a reprint. But basically, I pay 500 as many times as I want during your standby phase, and I get to pick a card in your hand, you reveal it to me, and then you'll shuffle it back in your hand, because obviously you don't want me picking the same card. So you reveal it, and then you shuffle it back in your hand, pick another card, shuffle your hand, so on and so forth. So that's that, and then I already explained Chicken Game. The Toon Tables, obviously you're going to go Toon Table for Toon Table for Toon Table for Blue Eyes Toon. Then you're going to go Trade In on the Blue Eyes Toon, preferably on the Blue Eyes Toon, just because you want to save your 3 D draws for your Destiny Hero targets, but playing a Trade In or 2 on out of your 9 D heroes isn't going to hurt anything, but Trade In is mostly meant for Blue Eyes Toon. 1 Day of Peace, of course, this is also really good, because you can go 1 Day of Peace draw, and then like play Inspection and like set more back row, in case your opponent has like a back row, so that they don't hit your self-destruct button with MST. Play 1 day, and then of course they can't do any damage to you, and then just leave everything set, and then they might make like a passive play, which helps take more time off the clock. And then Wall Revealing Light, of course, you just pay 7,000, then you activate self-destruct button. Self-destruct button, You activate this card when your life points are lower than your opponent's, and the difference is 7,000 or more, and both players' life points become 0, making it a draw. Now, again, I've been mentioning the time a lot. How do you actually win with this deck? Game 1, you're just going to draw through your deck. Just draw. Hopefully you'll get to go first, even though you only have 5 cards. It really doesn't matter because you have so much of a draw engine. And you just keep on drawing through your deck, trying to get that time off the clock, because, again, you start with 40 minutes, like a regular tournament or regional or YCS, whatever it is that you go to. You just draw through your deck, and then have Game 1 go for a good 20-25 minutes. Game 2, you don't side. Game 2, you just keep on drawing through your deck. Have Game 2 go on for as long as you possibly can, and then you would activate self-destruct button. And then by the time that you go into Game 3 and you're side decking in all 15 of your side deck cards, it's time. And then you go into 5 turns, which is where the side deck comes in. So, for the side deck, we have 3 Golden Ladybug, 3 Scarecrow, 3 Thunder Ruler, 3 Wabaku, and 3 Threatening Roar. What does Golden Ladybug do? Good question, I'm glad you asked. Once per turn during your standby phase, you can reveal this card in your hand to gain 500 life points. If you do, this card remains revealed while it is in your hand until the end phase. So you open up with all 3 of these, you reveal all 3 Golden Ladybugs, you gain 1,500, you stall out for the 5 turns. If you're going first, then you'll start on turn 0, and then it goes all the way up to 5, and so on. So you just keep on revealing Ladybug, you gain 1,500, and then your life points are higher than your opponent's at the end of 5 turns, and you win. So yeah, that's really neat. I have not side decked with this in forever, but I know for a fact that you take out some of your monster engine and most of your draw engine because you are taking a more controlled based aspect to your deck. And then, of course, the Thunder Ruler, Wabaku, and Threatening Roar are in here just to help stall. This side deck and the deck in general has definitely been hurt as the formats have gone by where self-destruct button has been banned. Because if you're playing against Cosmo and they have Cosmo Farm Girl on the board and they attack and you go to a Scarecrow, they can just banish the Farm Girl and play out a ship in the perspective of Cosmo. But at the same time, with Vanity's Emptiness running around, you can't really be using Battle Fader, and you can't really swap it to 2 and 2. To Scarecrow and 2 Battle Fader because you already have all 9 of these trap cards in your side deck that are pretty much mandatory to run, so you can't really take them out. Golden Ladybug's the best life point gain card that you have. You can't run Solemn Wishes because you're already running 9 trap cards, and you want to be gaining life points as much as you possibly can. And then you don't really have an extra deck, so you would just have to throw in 15 card extra deck so that your opponent thinks that you're playing something meta when you really aren't. But this deck is so much fun to play, you guys. For all y'all that have been on my channel for forever, you will know that I've had so much fun with this deck. My channel blew up because of this deck and Gishki FTK also, but mostly this deck. And it's so much fun. Like, I remember I went to a locals playing this deck just for fun to see how well I do, and I actually topped locals. But don't expect, like, if you're at a YCS and if this deck was still legal and you took this to a YCS and you somehow topped, you would be my best friend, number 1. Number 2, you wouldn't be able to proceed. Like, if it was top 32, you would come in top 32 because there really is no time in top. I've heard that there's like a 1-hour time limit in top, but you can't stall out with this deck for an hour because even sometimes whenever I tested with this deck, whenever it was legal, I would side deck in all 15 of my cards, but yet I would leave in cards here and there in case I need a backup. Like, I would leave in like 1 or 2 self-destruct buttons. I would take out all 3 inspections. I believe I kept it in Wall Revealing Light, but I would keep like 1 or 2 copies of self-destruct button in there in case I needed to have that backup plan of just playing self-destruct button and just going with the draw. And even sometimes I would play people at my locals when I did take this to my locals who I knew were good. And I was like, I'm not even going to try and risk it with them. I'd rather just take the draw. So I would just go all 3 games, self-destruct, 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 and they'd be so salty. It'd be so much fun. But another thing that is good about this deck also is that instead of taking a loss, like I just mentioned, if someone's good at my locals, I would just take the draw. If you know that someone is good, or like, let's say, for example, you go to a YCS and you're playing against Billy Break, and if this deck was still legal and you were playing this deck, you could just be like, oh, hell no, I'm not taking a loss to Billy Break. I'll take the draw. Because the way that draws work, which is why Konami hates draws in Yu-Gi-Oh!, is because for tournament results, draws count as half a point. And it kind of messes up the tiebreakers and stuff a little bit, which is why Konami doesn't really like draws. It just makes things a lot more difficult, which sucks, which is why they'll probably never bring back self-destruct button, but we can hope for an errata eventually. So yeah, if you're playing against someone like Billy Break at like a YCS or something, you're playing this deck, you can just be like, Billy break, or am I going to try and stall out till time? No, you're just going to take all 3 self-destruct ones, take your draw, and go on with your day. Because, like, let's say you're at a 9-round regional. Would you rather get 6 wins and 3 losses, or would you rather have 6 wins and 3 draws? Because each draw counts as half a point. So you have a better chance of topping, plus with your tiebreakers, if you take the 6 wins and 3 draws, because then you technically don't have any losses. So just something to think about. But this deck is so much fun, you guys. If you ever get bored and just want to play something in traditional format, please play this deck. It is so much fun. It's what made my channel popular how it is today. And I love it to death. Chicken Race is tested well. And it's so much fun. So anyways, thank you guys for watching as always. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving.